Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talk Together, our talk show where we talk about all things TTRPG, video games, movies, and anything else we choose to go on a tangent on at that particular time. My name is Josh. I use he, him pronouns. I shall be your host this evening, and you can see that I am joined by another one of our hosts, Tom. Hello. Tom.
Tom, yes, I am one of the many hosts. Tom also use he, him pronouns. Very happy to be here, Josh, as we represent gentlemen with beards and dark t-shirts.
Yes,
you know,
I have
for
gas
podcast
on mine.
listeners. Yeah, I've got a puffin on seal on mine.
Why am I not surprised?
I blooming love the sea. What can I say?
I am just not surprised.
Yeah, it's an ongoing sort of joke from a play I've been working on, which then turned into a musical about me having a sea wife. So if you're following me on social media, that's why, and people were like, how's the sea wife? I'm like, still tempestuous, still absolutely furious about all the things we're dumping in the ocean.
Is that what the puppet's wife is then? Is a sea maiden?
Oh, the Tempest. Well, okay, this is where we're getting into. The Tempest is basically is a storm goddess that, folks, I don't know if you're ever going to see it. I wrote a short play about how the puppet and the Tempest met. He wanted to basically know what her secret name was, and went and bothered her and intentionally gave her bad riddles, the sort of riddles that then get used in the Talking as a Free Action dungeons. And she got so angry that she destroyed her house. And then she was like, I've destroyed everything. He's like, do you want to come live with me? And she's like, and then they fell in love. And then something happened, which resulted in her death, his decapitation, and the loss of his hand. And now he has to keep his head on with a scarf and she likes red pandas. So actually, speaking of, my good lady wife is right here. Hi, folks. If you're tuning in for the first time, my God, so
you're in for a treat.
You're in, yeah. I'm an interesting soul, but thank you, Josh. It's very odd to be on this side of the table, but
yes.
Well,
before we carry on any further into what we're actually here to talk about, we have some sponsors and supporters to thank. We have the ever lovely Phoenix Dice. You can find them at phoenixdice.com, where they do all kinds of absolutely wonderful Mythdraw.
They're doing.
No, what's it called? What's the phrase that we use for dice? Click clacks. No.
Yeah. Recycle math rocks.
Yeah. Click clack math rocks. I can't remember the full phrase. Yeah. But yes, they do those. They also have some special roll together dice, which Tom is demonstrating right now. You can purchase those in the link below. They are readable, which is the most important when it comes to any sort of dice. We also have supporters with Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms for our D&D campaigns, and Bearded Ladies, which is a clothing company created by our players G and Ed, where they take like male representing sort of hoodies and they've added skirts to them. They look fabulous. We play trailers during our breaks. You can find links to those in the description below. Mm-hmm. And as this is a premiere on YouTube, if you'd like to leave a like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're not, it all helps with the algorithm, should I say? And
algorithm. The man who comes like, come on, you need more subscribers.
Yes, and pushes us a bit up the charts a little bit so that more people can see us, and so we know what people want to watch, and we can make more of it. Yay! Now, the reason why I have...
Did you do D20 Club? Have you thanked them?
I don't think I did the D20 Club.
No,
I'm sorry.
Hey, thanks to the D20 Club. If you want to be as cool as them, you can provide... fun bit of lore. Tom's characters can do the heart. Tom himself can't. So it's a separation. Anyway, if you want to join the D20 Club for one of your local currency, you can come. We have a Discord. We have a wiki. We have worked out within the world of Dungeons & Dragons that one piece of gold is worth one goat, so please do feel free to send the goat to me. I use it for reputable and very legal reasons. Folks, if you ever want to say something incriminating, say it complete, like when someone's like, hey, where's the body? I was like, it's certainly not in the cupboard. it's not in the cupboard, but people instantly be like, why are you telling me? It turns into the League of Gentlemen of being like, we didn't murder him, you know. But yes, thank you to the D20 Club. We adore you. You're great. Yes, sorry, Josh.
No.
Again, I want to clamber over the table. I want to be the one who holds the reins. And now I will get my way. So please, bring the ship into port. What are we doing?
We, the reason why myself and Timothy are here is, for those of you who may not have noticed or who don't tune into our Friday shows, we have been for the past 10 weeks, 11 weeks this Friday, we have been playing a little game called Blades in the Dark, which is not D&D.
No.
And we sort of shifted our focus a little bit on Fridays from the talk shows. We've moved, as you can see, we're now on YouTube Premiere, so experimenting with that and seeing how YouTube Premiere goes and all of that sort of stuff, and what sort of content people want to see on there, as well as our normal Mondays and Tuesdays, or Monday show mainly, going on there as well. And we thought, well, let's try some other TTRPGs. Obviously, D&D is the big one, but there are others out there that are extremely popular, and there's been a sort of a, not so much of an outcry, but more of a request within our own player base of trying out some other games. And Blades in the Dark was the one that Tom wanted to do, so we did it.
Yeah. Although, again, small peek behind the curtain. They're all recorded in the summer of 2023, which is very funny because all of us are pale, suffering, overheating, little blancmanges. But yes, we re-recorded. It was one of those things that we got an entire season of a show where we had it sort of sitting on the hard drive, and it was like, I personally was like, I think there's some really strong moments in this game, and I'm really excited for people to see it. And it's also been long enough that I've remembered like the main cornerstones, but I've forgotten like some of the moments where you're kind of like, it's that thing where you start talking along and then you watch yourself say it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's how. And I can say I had an absolutely delightful time with Josh and Scarlett and Evie, and at the time that this is coming out, I think we are into Humst's solo
spoilers, darling.
Well, no. Well, it'd be hilarious if it wasn't. If I was like, yeah, I'm going to do Hag and I'm going to do Wraith, but Humst doesn't get anything. We know Humst survives, but
I mean, from editing them and all of that, the sort of hint was that Humst died, or who's Humst? Who died? Who? I mean, these are spoilers.
No, they're not spoilers, because at the end of the heist, we do get to see who waking up in a church. So maybe they're back, maybe they're not. Maybe
we do, don't we?
We do.
I should know this.
Yeah, editor. Folks, we're not going to edit around this. This is the lovely relationship that me and Josh have.
This is the chaos machine that we induce. There is a little fun little tidbit that about the entire campaign itself that I think is only right that we share with everybody. And some of you may have noticed that the episodes that we are showing on Fridays, we try to keep them as close to an hour as possible. And that sometimes you'll find that there's a bit of a odd cut-off point where Tom's face comes in and does the pre-recorded well, look what happened there and all of that. You're probably wondering why that's the case. That's because we didn't actually know originally that we were going to be doing this for 1 hour form content. Originally, this Blades in the Dark campaign wasn't even for Roll Together RPG. Tom, Scarlett, and myself were originally going to do a completely separate channel with a completely separate name, and Blades in the Dark was going to be one of the flagship shows for that channel. Obviously, with things happening with Roll Together and with me stepping up to take more of a production lead role, we decided to stop that and bring the Blades in the Dark stuff over here. All of the players in it are already part of Roll Together, so it just made sense. And so and it's also helped us format a new way of doing 1 hour shows. So there are plans for, and we've said this before in Patreon updates and in other talk togethers that we've done, that we are looking to do other TTRPG content. We're currently going through a process of gathering information from our players as to what game systems they want to run, and then we're going to add those into the community goals. That's taking a little bit of time to do, but that is coming. And then we will go from there. There is another game lined up to do after Blades in the Dark finishes, which we're not going to say anything about yet. It's all, but there's something special and something you won't expect.
And what I will say is, now we know kind of what the rules of this streaming are. We're having a bit of fun being able to go, okay, what can we make shorter form content, which is quite, again, for me personally, where folks, if you watch my stuff, it's not that I'm a bad timekeeper. It's that, again, I think actually this Wednesday, where the one shot that I made, where Josh said, well, I watched you go, oh, I think we've got time to do one more turn. And it was on the hour 20 mark. And like editor Josh was like, no, you don't, stop. But I like playing alongside people, and I like ending and going. And I think I'm more built for a kitchen table game where we're like, yeah, we can play until like 11 o'clock at night, right? No one's like, we'll get pizza. We'll
what it is, I think, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you get really engrossed with what's going on.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
Not by any means is that a bad thing. We always say the timekeeper badge and all of this sort of stuff as a joke, and we do say that our shows are on Mondays and Tuesdays are about 3 hours long. If they go over, they go. As the old in the older episodes that we used to do with the older pre-recorded intros and all of that sort of stuff, and with the old intro or even older intros, it's all improvised. So if it does happen to go over by 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, then that's what happens. It's all improvised. I mean, look at Critical Role. I've seen episodes of Critical Role go on for 6 hours before. So, it's all improvisation, and you shouldn't feel bad because we're not sticking within a particular time frame, because every time you run something, it's all, and it's the same with everybody at Roll Together, who DMs for Roll Together. Anytime anybody DMs something, no matter how long or short it is always a barrel of laughs, and that's what we're here for, is to provide a barrel of laughs, not just for ourselves as a group of friends playing games, but also to the audience who are watching.
Yeah, I think that's the trick, and I think, again, the advantage is that, apart from watching it when it goes out on Twitch, you can start and stop. You can walk away, you can have it. Again, I find it really interesting with sort of like the different ways that people are accessing, like when you're hearing like, oh, I listened to the podcast version, and I'm like, really? But you miss out on all the visual gags, or, sort of like, I don't want to give the editor kobolds more to do, but like, usually we need a thing going, the boo card has been put upon the screen. And again, like, Blades is a system that I quite like, because a large part of it is that you are all competent. When things go wrong, it's not because you're an idiot. It's because you dropped something, or the blue coats happened to look up at this time. I had previously played in I had run a game of Lady Blackbird, which is a good game. I really like it. Same sort of thing, sort of like, I know quite a few people play it, but the same sort of like, where it's just silly, where it's like, there's a pirate king, and you need to find him, and your goblin's the pilot, and the goblin could be any size. It's just, and going into the game that became known as Cult of the Circle, where I sort of was like, well, okay, it's a world which, sort of like ghosts are a problem, but we're not really. And then Scarlett was like, oh, cool, I'm studying ghosts. I'm like, great, okay, so it needs to be slightly. And then Evie's like, cool, amazing. So I am a creature from a location, and I'm into jam. And folks, I think the way that it forgot, I think jam wasn't the big thing it has now become. Like, we have a sliding scale, because it used to be, for those of you who used to watch it, pickles, like especially after Flustered in the Feywild, there were pickles that had like a carved face on it. That was the big thing. And now it's jam, sticky kobold loving jam. Bless her, Nat sent me a thing and went, did you just have a character called Tusk who's a horrible businessman? I went, yep. Yeah, just finding again, when you're looking at things in hindsight, or in very interesting way, things that have been recorded a year ago, which are now in a slightly different lens, especially as you're saying with the hour-long stuff, I don't know if we're ever going to see. I'd be very interested, like all the gubbins at the end, where I was like, hey, we were doing this and doing that, and just me being like, no, stop trying to, we just need to keep this going. We need to, it's a hard edit, but it's nice to get it down to the hour. And yeah, how did you find playing it?
Well, before you even ask me that question,
I withdraw the question. No, not allowed. I'm in charge.
I have a question for you, which supersedes the question you want to ask me, because
how very dare.
Why Blades in the Dark? Out of all the TTRPG systems out there, what made you choose Blades in the Dark?
Lovely crimes. I just love crimes. Lovely.
I should have known that would be the answer.
Yeah. I think Blades in the Dark it's accessible. I also think, strangely, for us being a sort of UK-based company, for the kind of like, hello, we're doing cheeky cockney crimes. There's that feel, that steampunk. Both Evie and Scarlett, let's say, curve towards the more gothic, the dark academia stuff, which I think's. I think it's also sort of, it's a good sort of. We've been saying like there's a problem that people have where they think there's only D&D, and I think Blades in the Dark is a good transition, and actually a large part of it is it's very good for roleplay. Again, for like conversations, like at the time of recording, one of the most recent episodes was the end of Rafe's flashback, and I realized that I talk to you for about 10-15 minutes almost unbroken about what horrible tragedy you went through, and then I was like, and then you woke up in a bed. I don't know, it's just sort of like, as I said, like having played Lady Blackbird, sort of got that idea, and I was like, to be honest, I know there are other TTRPG companies that are playing it, but there's not, as opposed to sort of like, okay, like other sort of, you've got the DVD, you've got Vampire the Masquerade. It felt, while we're not exactly like putting our flag down, it seems like a nice transitional thing, rather than, off the top of my head, like something like Orbital Blues, where you're like, okay, cool, I don't know what that is, or Red Market, or I suppose if you're thinking about those sort of transition things like Call of Cthulhu, if you said that, you're like, okay, I think I get it. But again, Blades in the Dark, I can't remember what the you know what I mean by operating system, but I think they also do one which could be put, I think it's like Scoundrels, anyway, like could be put into Star Wars, which I'm like, that would be. Hey, Josh, I just keep.
Isn't that powered by the apocalypse, though?
I think there is. I think it's not the Scoundrel, but there is one which can be adapted to the Star Wars universe.
It's not called Scum and Villainy, because that is Star Wars. It is Scoundrel and
Scoundrels and yes, and there was also a game which was very similar to Blades that I was going to be a part of, and it didn't happen, and I was just like, I still want to do some lovely crimes though. But yeah, I think, and it was a really nice experience, with the free players. It got us back into, as said, around the time when we were like, we're not quite sure what's happening, and we're having played in like 5 people games, and then especially this got into something that I know you're a big fan of like the one-on-one adventures. So we ended up doing the first sort of 2 big heists, which weirdly weren't that, were some more like social events. It's like
big heists.
Big heists. And I'm not going to lie to you folks, we never quite get to the level of this is the huge, big thing. It's all very really small scale, but also in a universe where other huge things are happening, and these, again, quote unquote heroes have, like, Rafe has a bit in the second adventure where he's like, cool, do I need to be here? There's a possibility this might cause the apocalypse. Good, I need to get out of town. And I actually hope, folks, that now watching the backstory, you get why he's like, cool, I can't die here. I've got more important things. And again, I'm not announcing a season 2, but I feel, it's always that thing of like going back and looking at it again, where you're just like, there's a lot of plot strands which I think would be fun to get into, and Duskfall's a really interesting city, again, like the bit where it finally reoccurs to me. I was like, yeah, I'm talking about it being like, oh, you're looking in the light. There is no light. The sun and the moon are gone. The stars fell into the ocean, and the doors to the afterlife were flung wide open. And it's just a really interesting world to play in. And that sort of, again, like with D&D, where you're like, okay, these are the rules, this is how this works. But when you say like, yeah, it's a city of perpetual night, and if you're going to succeed, you're going to have to be cunning. And that's, for me, as a Blade Master and also as a player, it's just a fun world to play in. Now, can I ask you about your experience playing?
No, I want to ask you that now, Jacob.
Okay, yeah. How was it? Sort of, and again, sort of like, how was it watching it back? Watching us, we all aged. Different haircuts, different.
Yeah,
beard
but
lengths.
different. It's definitely me. Different haircuts. Yeah, I mean, Scarlett and Evie haven't aged at all. No. You and I go through various stages of different lengths of curly
Kempton,
hair.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a behind the scenes sort of tech layout. At that point, my microphone wasn't where it currently is. My microphone it's the same microphone that I've got now, but it was on a little stand thing and was right here.
Right, yeah.
So right in front of my face, but on my desk. And because it wasn't grounded properly, that's why my audio sounds so bad on it. And there was another series that we had recorded, which was originally supposed to come out on YouTube. I'm not going to say the name of it because we're using that elsewhere now. But
there you go, folks. That's a small announcement.
I think I've announced it somewhere already at some point. I've announced so many things. But anyway, that was supposed to be like a series that we were going to release as a YouTube exclusive. But my audio was I personally felt that my audio was so bad that as
you were DMing it,
and I was the one DMing it, that it wasn't. I couldn't put that out there. It was just too bad for me personally. I felt embarrassed to put it out. My audio is the exact same for Blades, but for the group sessions where it's all of us together, I don't talk as much, so I can get away with it. I was a little bit apprehensive about the Wraith one-on-one, because obviously I do talk a lot more because it's just the two of us, but I managed to find a setting that allowed me to make my voice sound a little bit better, but not by much. So that made it bearable for me.
That has been the advantage, that Rafe was quite a taciturn character and unlikely to go on long monologues, but and again, it's just that one-on-one where just sort of the way he edited it, where then me just being like, cool, this is the last time you're actually happy in this place, and then we're like, oh, wait a week. But how did you find it? Had you played Blades before?
No. So this is the first time I've played a plethora of different TTRPGs in my, I don't want to call it a career, but in my experience is what I'm going to say. D&D wasn't the first TTRPG
Really?
I played. It was Shadowrun.
Nice.
My first proper TTRPG that I played. I used to, when I was very small, when I was wee little bitty Josh, I used to play with the D&D books where you flick through and it says, would you like to go through this dungeon or would you like to go through this door? Flick to the next page. Adventure books.
Not Final Fantasy, but the Fantasy Adventure kind of, yeah. I love those, yeah.
The Warlock on Firetop Mountain and the Wizard of Ice Mountain or something are the two books that I had.
The Steve Jackson books, yeah.
I had those to the point where my Warlock of Firetop Mountain began to fall apart the amount of times that I played it, and I recently, a few years ago, got the new one.
Yeah.
New version.
I got again, I don't know if they've made more since, but I've got a bookshelf which is there's 20 of them, and then just
I'd love to do them.
Yeah. I know there's some other RPG podcasts that do a read through. Maybe that's hey, Patreon, do you want us to work through or do you want us to write one? Yeah. But yes, so you'd played different games. So you haven't played you haven't done Lady Blackbird, or
not done Lady Blackbird. I've seen Lady Blackbird be played, but I've watched videos on it, but I've not actually played it myself. But I like Blades in the Dark because my basic history of TTRPGs are obviously D&D, Shadowrun, Pathfinder First Edition, Pathfinder Second Edition, the Star Wars Fantasy Flight Games version, Dragon Age, using the Green Ronin Age system, the Fantasy Age system using the same thing, and Call of Cthulhu, and Delta Green, and Red Markets. Yeah. I'm just coming up with more as I played all of those types of games. Obviously, Red Markets is sort of set in more of an apocalypse setting, and both Delta Green and Call of Cthulhu, I feel, are very crunchy with their numbers and things. So coming into Blades, not only did it feel very grounded in its setting and approach, it's not like D&D or Pathfinder where we're rolling dice and adding obscene modifiers to it and fighting gods and dragons and all this sort of stuff. So the fact that it's very grounded, very RP heavy, very rules and dice light has been a welcome change, I think, and I enjoyed it immensely. Obviously, as you said before, I've got a thing for the one-on-ones and for doing one-on-ones, and Wraith's one made me really connect with him really well. So I'd like for there to be a season 2 so that I can play Wraith again. But also, I haven't... Yes, there will be an episode for Evie's character one-on-one. I haven't watched that one yet. I'm in the process, at the time of recording this, I'm in the process of editing that. But I have, obviously Hags 1 came out first, so I've watched and edited that. And I feel a stronger connection to Hag as a character as well. So I really enjoy doing those. And I would like, if us as Roll Together are going to be exploring other TTRPGs, and dipping our toes into other waters, if we were to choose one to be like a regular one that keeps coming back every so often, I would want it to be Blades. I'd love to get other people who are involved with Roll Together, other players in as well. Although I will say that having the smaller party for a 1 hour slot works a lot better than what having 4 or 5 of us would. So even if that means I have to sit back, take Wraith out of a mission and let somebody else step in, I would still like to watch that because I just think it's great. I think you did a really good job with it.
Thank you. I think there's so many aspects to the city of Duskfall and things that we don't get to fully explore that you can easily drop in another party or and again, folks, once the group's reunited and we get a bit more of an idea of what the bigger world events are, there's absolutely no reason why. I very much sort of created it with it being a drop-in, drop-out system where, again, it makes sense to be able to go, okay, we need this person, or this person's got access. It is like playing a role-playing game where you're like, cool, if you were this character, you would have this detail, So there's things like there were people who were going to be a part of the game, couldn't make it, and I was like, cool, you wanted to be a ship's captain, cool, someone robbed your ship of one of your shipments, and now you're in Duskfall going, where's my bounty? Yes, I would happily keep running Blades in the Dark. I think it's it tickles a nice part of my, because I like the role. I hate to surprise you folks, I like chatting, and I like chatting with people.
Really? You've never ever shown any evidence of that ever.
I know, I'm so quiet and withdrawn. I definitely, if there was, again, without it being like, I want to do my thing, I would happily keep running it. It's a good system. It's fun. I like the world we're building. I just like that some of the major events in the world have come because someone has said a stupid joke, and then I'm like, no, actually, that's now a thing. Such as, and again, this isn't spoilers, Man-Bat and the missing Lord Sherlock, the great detective.
I think they're the same person. I have no idea if they are, but I think they're the same person.
I mean, let's find out. But yeah, it's been very fun being able to look back at it and being like a role playing game, being able to go, cool. These are like the things you've got in your journal, where you're like, you've played Red Dead Redemption 2, have you? Yeah. So like Arthur Morgan in that, writes up and then draws like really nice drawings, and he's like, I ended up in the town, and he's like, here's a picture of the lady he talked to. And I feel that's very much the same vibe for this, that it would be really funny to watch, like Rafe would have like very different notes to Hag and like who would have like very analytical, but would also be smudging, because every time you mention their name it just disappears.
As we saw, Wraith completely missed a whole plot point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just no, I think, again, like personally, I think it was nice getting to know the characters, doing the one-on-one, and to
fun fact about the one-on-ones, they were an accident.
Yes, they were. I think
it was
get busy,
it was two
or
of
too
us.
Hot. Yeah,
I think it was either too hot or ill, or a combination of the two. But it was both myself and Evie weren't able to make a recording session, so we said for you and Scarlett to carry on, which did. So the episodes were actually recorded out of order of what they were airing. It was actually Tom and Scarlett first, then Tom and Evie, and then Tom and myself.
Yes.
But with the way that the last group one ended with who disappearing, it felt right to put Evie at the end of the one-on-one, sort of leaving you, the audience, in suspense as to what has happened to who.
I mean, and I'm excited because, again, I love Evie as a player, and it's such a sweet, like, who is such as like weirdly darling, and folks, it becomes, like I said, it becomes a dark academia, because who needs to do their PhD and has to go back to a college where they are constantly forgotten, but that's okay, because sometimes your professors are a bit scatty and would just forget, and bless them. I mean, Evie is currently working on a PhD, so having that feeling of like turning up to the professor and being like, Professor, can we have a meeting to talk about my theories? Yeah, it's just for what could be like a very dark, grim world, there's just some real sweet niceness, and yes, you get to find out what happened to who, and their new best friend. Yeah, so yeah, it's no, you get there. Who's got a friend now, and I think that's very important for a growing. It's yes. Any more questions?
Now, where do we go from here?
Yeah, again, folks, we we thought maybe this is. In hindsight, we probably go and we're like, "Hey, you got any questions?" I mean, this is odd because we are halfway through, so we haven't done a talk together of all the people.
No, I haven't done a talk together. It would be a bit difficult for us to do a talk together at the moment because Scarlett's reason why Scarlett's not obviously with Blades out on Fridays. It looks like Scarlett is quite present in campaigns at the minute. That's not the case. Unfortunately, Scarlett has had some extremely bad tech issues.
Yes.
To the point of needing new equipment. So won't be appearing as much in newer stuff that will be coming out until they're able to replace those
I will
elements.
say, folks, there's something coming up that I'm playing in that I worked on with Scarlett, and Scarlett's got a deep investment in my character, and so Scarlett's getting more and more upset as more and more terrible things happen. I'm like, no, it can't. I'm like, hey guys, it's fine.
I just realised what it is. Duh.
Yes, duh. But Scarlett, again, I speak for them, but yes, sort of, yes, that is the weird thing where it seems, because we're obviously recording things in like batch recordings or at the multiple times, and then when you're like, oh, this person hasn't been on for a couple of months, and you're like, no, we were all recording things. I just keep turning up because I'm weirdly available. You know, I work in theatre, and I'm like, my go-to phrase is I'm very free until I'm very much not. And so just being like, hey, can we do a thing? And like, I shall do the thing. I shall come.
My diary.
Yeah, no. It's quite funny where it's just like going, I can give you 6 to 11 p.m. on that day, and then I'm off to go be a cowboy or to be in space. You know, it's a wonderful life. Yes, so yes, I think I'm happy. I'm happy with Blades. It's nice that, again, our fans are great to just be able to see. And I think the lovely thing is that we haven't had any unpleasant comments yet, being like, "Oh, what's this? Why is this?" And you're like, "Yeah, we're trying new stuff."
Yeah, I think this isn't D&D. Why are you not doing D&D? We've not had any of that, so which is nice. I mean, we're still getting new people come in on the Friday games and interacting with everyone and seemingly enjoying it. Whether they come back or not the next week is. It's completely up to them, but you know, at the end of the day, we're having fun doing it. So
I think that's the strange thing. Like with Twitch, it's much easier to be able to monitor like who's in the chat and who's, you know, sort of like we know who the recurring people are. But then you sort of like you talk to people who are like, oh yeah, watch that on YouTube, and I'm like, you watched it? You've been seeing my work. I have met one person in the wild who's someone that Nat works with on another TTRPG company, who kind of was like, oh yeah, I think I recognize you, and I went, it's because I do the show with Nat. You know, it's not like kind of like out of the blue. You know, I haven't yet had anyone come up to me in the street and be like, you. I think
I'm going to do that next time we meet up. I'm just going to come up to you and go, you.
Hey, didn't you used to be Tom Jancis? Yep, once upon a time.
I need to figure they're formerly known as Tom Jancis.
It's so difficult when you're operating under your own name. You're like, oh no.
Yes, that's a mistake that I realised. I should have gone under an alias when I came into the space. I should have made up a name, but didn't.
I mean, it's the advantage for me where I was like I have a completely unique name. It's when you get, especially like when you're working in a theatre and things, where people be like, okay, like I saw something where like we're making a theatre company called Cutty Sark, and I was like, cool, as long as you're not going in competition with the ship, you know, where you're just trying to make a sort of unique name. And I was talking to Josh about this the other day, where we were like, this company's called Roll Together. London, Roll Together.
There's quite a few different Roll Togethers. If you look them up on social media or on Google, there isn't just us.
No.
Although we have the unique thing of being we're not actually Roll Together. Yeah. We say Roll Together or RT as like an abbreviation. We are actually Roll Together RPG.
You could put it, like I said, where you're making a theatre company, where you're like, I'm Cutty Sark, Co, or theatre company, or limit, yes, so I think ultimately, we're talking about, well, if there seems to, I mean, that's two people who say they want to see Blades, and those are two people who are involved in. But yes, no, I'm very excited to be playing other games as well. Sort of, again, we're not going to hide it from you folks. We are looking at other systems, and a nice variety. There's some, and again, to be honest, we are smart enough to go, there's some that just won't work for the style that we're trying to put out, and that's fine.
We've come across that with one system where I really enjoy playing in that particular system, but it's very crunchy. There's a lot of different things you can look at that you can do as a player and as a DM, and it's really good if you're in a online situation, but not streaming it, or if you're around a table. But if you're trying to stream it and you're trying to do it within a time frame, it's not very fun for audience members to sit and watch us look through what we can and can't do for 20 minutes.
Although I have enjoyed, if you're playing a drinking game, every time in Blades, I get the book out. I mean, like, hold on, let me just... Because, again, there's so much sort of... It's being able to feel brave enough to go, okay, I know what I can play with, but also the fun of going, oh, by the way, there's this, this part, there's that. But yes, and again...
Speaking of other TTRPGs, at the time of recording this, Tom and I have just finished a playtest for a completely new system to both of us, with some other people from Roll Together. And I really regret not recording it because it was hilarious.
I was about to say, this is the fun thing, folks, that we're all from this company, and we instantly fall into performance mode. And so we all know to play to each other, but also to play to the audience, and being like, cool, don't speak over each other. Make sure everyone's got that. And yes, there's just... again, I got one of the other characters just constantly bullied me, and it's just, again, when we've been talking about, like, me being a puppet, where I'm just like, I am more than willing to be the punching bag, because I think it's funny, and it's just, again, sort of like, hey, you can take it, I can take it, and I don't know if that's just a weird thing of mine, where I'm like, cool, it's, when someone's like razzing you, that's almost like my love language, where I'm like, yeah, you're making fun of me, but because, not mean, but you're like, if you feel that you can be a bit mean to me, and look, I've just got a weird kink, Josh, you just got to accept it.
No, it's just the fact that you use the word razzing. There's like razzing and riz and words that have suddenly cropped up, and I'm like, what? This I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting to the age where it's like, what are these words these younglings are using? And I thought I would always be cool.
Yeah, it's not me. It's the young people. But because that's the weird thing. Like when people have been talking like, oh, he's got mad riz, and you're like, what's that stand for? Charisma. I'm like, yes, like in the game Dungeons and Dragons. Do you like Baldur's Gate 3? Who you taking out on the town?
No. I'm looking at the timer. We cannot get onto Baldur's Gate 3.
So
we cannot talk about Baldur's Gate 3.
Now, Karlach's are very complicated.
I've started another run on Baldur's Gate 3. I still have not left. Still have not got to halfway through Act 2 yet.
No, again, it's dark and spooky, and to be honest, when you get to Act 3 and then they're just like, I don't know, everything that you were talking about, like when you kept going, oh, we'll meet you in Baldur's Gate, you're like, well, they're here now, so do you want to go talk to them? Does that sound good?
Yeah. But on the upside, the people, the makers of Stardew Valley are making a new, apparently rumored to be making a new life sim style RPG based in the Baldur's Gate 3 universe.
Did you ever play Stardew?
I never played Stardew, no.
Stardew is
something that was always on my radar, but it's just the fact that, the Baldur's Gate 3 universe was created in 1987, I think it was. It seems that they've forgotten about those realms.
Hey, it's the 50th anniversary this year, D&D. They're just... Again, folks, it's quite funny. There was like a bit of a meme going around when they're like, oh yeah, when you're talking about the Forgotten Realms, do you just mean... And they sort of like draw the area around like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, and I'm trying to get... Again, maybe we'll push the players to go, okay, where have we actually gone? Because currently, Sean's campaign out on the islands, up to the northwest, okay, we've definitely gone there. But I think it's also because we keep homebrewing, and then we'll be like, "Oh, where's Silverholt?" And you're like, "I don't know, to the north." You're like, near Icewind Dale. Like, it's how far away is it away?
It's not on the map for the sword. I think Nat said that it was a homebrew town or village. It wasn't on what would be considered the Sword Coast map.
No, it's up.
It's further up, yeah. And it's like Niall's taking us over to Zakara, and we're doing adventures over there. But when I honestly did think that Faerun was the name of the planet.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's Toril. And when you look up the Toril world map, it is way bigger than I thought it was. It's like what they do with Elder Scrolls Online. You think Elder Scrolls Online as a map, as which is obviously different to Skyrim, which is just set in one area of the world, and
Morrowind
and all that. Whereas Elder Scrolls is the entire area, and it's doing like a World of Warcraft thing. World of Warcraft being another prime example where they keep adding locations to the map. And I feel like with how we're doing things, or how we've done things, we've only touched like a very small section of the main continent. We've still got like, I think, and I would need to double check with Mike, but I think Mike said that Dreadstone isn't in the Sword Coast. It's more in the central part of the main continent. So I think that's the furthest that we've gone into the main part of the continent. We haven't even been to Chult yet, which is where Tomb of Annihilation is set.
That's true.
And I know there's a few players that really want to do dinosaur racing.
Yes. And of course now, for me personally, like doing stuff with the Gate Crashers, where I was like, cool, we've got that. And now we've got infinite universe versions of this. Like with Crash and Burn, where I was like, cool, I don't think we've been to the Beastlands yet, and then took it, and it was like, yeah, it's just, there's a lot of scope, which is great. Although it is quite funny that we ended up being like, yeah, most people are like from Waterdeep, and then you're like, yeah, well, what's happening in Neverwinter? Plague. What about Baldur's Gate? Oh, it's there. Just sort of. Yeah.
I think Waterdeep is the most, out of the three main cities that we've sort of played in, Neverwinter, Baldur's Gate, and Waterdeep. I think Waterdeep is the most untouched of all of them. Because Baldur's Gate had the gloom, Neverwinter's had the bloat, and Waterdeep has pretty much stayed untouched. Which I will also say, Bows and Lightning came out on Monday.
Yes.
You've watched that, and that was great fun. I got to bring a character back that I've played on offline streams, and it was really good. It was a really good fun campaign. When you said at the beginning that this was an alternative, that this was a different universe, I didn't take that as alternative. I took that as completely different. So when you said about going, I don't know if anybody noticed it, you can go back and watch it, but when you say that, if you look at my face, there is complete confusion on my face when you say, you arrive at Waterdeep. I'm like, what?
I would also like to point out a joke I made, because in that, the Sword Maiden is awoken to fight. In traditional D&D, the Sword Maiden was destroyed. It's one of the ruined statues, and is so in that timeline, most of the other statues, which are clothed in this new timeline, the Sword Maiden is one of the ones that gets revived by the Black Staff. So, but yes, no. I mean, again, if we're not hiding it. It's based on the War of the Worlds. It kind of like was in England, I suppose. Yeah, I will not take in what you said as a criticism, but maybe if I had just sort of stuck to my guns more and just been like, yeah, you're going to Maybury in London. You're having to go.
It definitely wasn't.
No,
As a
I wasn't.
criticism,
No, but I was
it
like,
didn't click in my brain that you were doing an alternative universe.
Yes.
I thought you were doing a different universe.
Yes, yeah. We're just sort of like, and again, for those of you who've been paying attention to the stories I'm telling, there's, chances of anything coming from Mars are 1,000,000 to 1, and yet still come. Yeah. Josh was like, "Was that?" And I was like, "Yep, that's something." I'm being sneaky, folks. There's sort of like.
Yes, I need to pay more attention. I mean, I pay attention anyway, but I need to really pay attention to the words that you say.
Yeah.
Which sounds like I completely ignore the words that you say, which I realise is not how. That's not how that was intended to come out.
We're being very defensive here, and it's absolutely fine.
What I need to do is, when I listen to what you say, I need to unpack it more because you are hiding things in the subtext, and
absolutely.
That's what I need to do. It's like Sean with his riddles and anagrams.
Yeah. Well, again, with like Sean, where you start doing it and you're just like, oh my god, okay, so this character's name is this, and then Sean will just give the full thing, and you're like, cool, I'm out of business for like 2 minutes because I can't help but I'm trying to solve this puzzle. What does it mean?
I think it's so much fun though, especially with the names that Sean comes up with. I mean, my character's best friend, well, not best friend, but my character's like work colleague in Resurgence is called Drew Dingus.
Yeah,
and it's an anagram. I'm never gonna solve it because I'm not that intelligent when it comes to those sort of things. But some of those names were just amazing.
Yeah. I said, like, with the Tabaxis, where they're like, cool, we name each other depending on what it is. So it's like Cuffgate, and or the one where it's like, cool, if you want to know, go ask him, and he's like, he will completely deny any knowledge of it.
I can tell you what the name is. 1 second. Bear with me, caller. It is. Do you mean Ichabod Bargain Hut Sock Fistbutt?
You know that's the very
Do you know this person?
Do you know? Are you aware? Yeah, it's it's very funny seeing like what games we play as DMs. It's also very fun to play what are the recurring tropes as a player and then also as a DM. Actually, Nat was saying that recently she felt like, because previously it's been like, oh, Nat plays like frontliners who have a sort of, not a martyr, but sort of like I was about to say intolerance. Sorry, folks, it's late, but feel like a complex that they don't quite live up to. And Nat was then like, well, I don't seem to be playing those characters now. What do you think I am? And I was like, well, based on your last 3 characters, you like crossing the plains, and also you just don't have time for fools. Dr. Durrani, El Bandito, and I'll call her Elphaba. Elphaba from Wicked. The Owlin.
Emphia.
Emphia. All 3 of them would be like, no, I don't have time for this. Shush. But all for very different reasons. Yeah. But it's the difficulty of like self-analysis of like, okay, what are your recurring things? And again, we keep saying we don't use TTRPGs as therapy, but there is a habit. You fall into stuff. What is it? Where I just keep playing puppets and martyrs and be like, yep, cool, because I don't matter. And you're like, shush. This is how we show love. You've been razzed. You've got to take it. Yeah. I'm also dripping with the Riz. As the kids are saying.
I mean, that's a very boastful statement.
Well,
Let's also get yourself checked out.
Yeah. No, I really should. I should go talk to the doctor. How are we doing for time?
We've got about 5 minutes left, I'd say.
Cool. Do you want to do a speed round?
Speed round of...
You don't have any questions for me, so...
No, I don't, but what are we going to do a speed round of? Because I don't have any questions loaded either. Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
Ready? Rock.
1, paper, scissors.
Shoot.
Snip, 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 snip.
Yeah, you saw me do paper long before that.
Oh, no.
Time dilation.
Let's do it again.
What is time? Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Fist bump.
Fist bump. Boom.
My fat fingers. Ready?
Yeah.
Rock,
paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Have we read the same book on how to win at rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah. I think that's enough of that now.
Yeah, folks, it's good to just have like little mini games.
It's good just to chill out. I mean, Tom and I have been hanging out today since 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
it's now 11 o'clock, and as soon as we finish recording this, we're going to go play a little game and do some liberty and democracy in Helldivers 2. So
yeah,
we'll be sick of each other by the end of it.
Yeah. This is the thing, folks. Me and Josh, when we spend time, we do spend a lot of time with each other. We end up having like an hour meeting, and then it is like 4 hours later because we just end up chatting. It's nice.
We chat, we vibe, we plan things. We fail to write those plans down and then forget that we made those plans.
We're full of ambitions, which is nice. Which is actually, folks, just at the end. Another meeting we're going to have in a couple of days. We're going to be talking about merchandise, which I know is something that people have been talking about. If you are watching this, that means you're one of our hardcore fans that you've come and watched on the YouTube. If there is anything in particular, I know some people have been suggesting things like posters or postcards or especially T-shirts. I have a recurring thing of like when we say something amusing, I'm like, put it on a T-shirt, and again, never write it down. So if there is anything in particular you'd like, I'd like. I also keep joking about us making a calendar, because we've got some really beautiful art out there, or some really beautiful characters. So if there is anything that people can think of that they're like, I'd love to put that on my torso. Maybe I'll change my mind about having either a puffin or a seal on my tum tum. Yeah,
if you have any ideas, please put them in the comments below, because the chat itself will disappear once the video's gone. So if you put it in the chat below, we will add it to our list of merchandise that we've already got. If any of it overlaps, then we'll sort of highlight that and move that to the top, because then we know that's stuff that people really want. So we can sort of push that forward in the meeting when we have that.
Yeah. So I think that took up a few minutes.
That took up a little bit of time, didn't it? Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, Blades in the Dark has been a fantastic campaign. It's been great fun it was great fun to play it when we played it. It's been great fun to go back through and edit it, despite my terrible, or at least my personal personal issue with my own audio. And I hope that there is an opportunity to bring it back for a season 2 in the future.
It would be hilarious if we just keep doing like, this is another 16 episode thing. You're like, no, we can do other stuff.
Well, we record them in 3-hour blocks. So 1 3-hour recording session is obviously going to be 3 episodes. Yeah, so we can definitely get well ahead with it. But I think with all of that said, we're going to say goodbye to everybody now. Goodbye. So thank you everybody for watching. If you have enjoyed Tom and I's completing a tangent and sort of staying on track conversation, you can find us on Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays over on Twitch at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. On Mondays and Tuesdays we play D&D, and on Fridays we play other TTRPGs, currently Blades in the Dark. There are other TTRPGs coming soon. You can join us on Patreon from as little as 1 of your local currency or 1 goat, which must be sent to Tom. Massive thank you to the people who are currently on the Patreon. Without your help, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Big thank you to our sponsors and supporters, and you can find us all over social media just by searching for Roll Together RPG. Again, as this is on YouTube, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, all of those good things. Boost us up the algorithm and let us know what it is you like so we can make more of it. Any final words, Tom?
I was going to say, tell your friends, we've got a lovely audience. No, final words. Looking forward to future adventures. Got some fun stuff coming up. Well,
more announcements soon.
More announcements, as we say at the end of every episode. 2 things. 1, don't let the blue coats catch you, and always stay classy at the table.
Should we do that again so we're in sync? Ready?
Yeah. Always
stay classy
at the table.